So today's video, what I want to do, something a little bit different, is first of all, I'm going to make this like completely raw, alright? Like, I'm not going to be doing like any crazy mad edits or anything like that, okay? It's just going to be me talking, giving a bit of kind of education, and just like the reason I want to do this is because I've had a lot of conversations over the last kind of few weeks, especially with new clients regarding this topic. And what it is people coming to me and saying, I'm doing everything perfectly, I'm doing everything bang on, like there's no issues with what I'm doing, but I'm just not seeing progress in whatever I'm trying to achieve, whether that be performance, whether that be physique. And we quickly come to the conclusion, or I quickly come to the conclusion, that when someone says to me they're 100% on the ball or 100% with what they're doing, it becomes apparent that what they're talking about is their training, like in their head anyway, their training is perfect. They're not really talking about nutrition, recovery, those sort of things, okay? And what this end results in is people getting frustrated, thinking that all they need to be worrying about when they're trying to achieve performance, physique goals, whatever it is, or both, they think that all that matters is training, all right? Or it's not even that they think that all that matters is training, they know that other things matter as well, but just they don't think they matter as much, which obviously isn't true. So what I wanted to do was kind of try and put across to you guys like a bit of an example, or a really kind of simple example that I like to use with a lot of my guys that come on board or look to come on board, as to how important everything else is, in my opinion anyway, okay? And what we've got to look at here is, I want to look at the whole goal or the whole process, the whole overarching thing we're trying to achieve, whether that be physique, performance, or both, or whatever it is. We look at that as like the total equation of that is 100%, okay? Think of it this way, 100%, and then we split each of the three main pillars, that I believe we need to take care of in order to achieve said goal, which is going to be training, nutrition, and recovery. So we split those across 100%, which is 33.3%. And let's say your training is absolutely perfect, all right? Let's say your training is spot on, couldn't be better, like it's bang on the money, volume's right, like exercise selection's right, how often you're going, the intensity in which you're doing it at, obviously we're trying to aim for aerobic capacity, anaerobic, everything's getting ticked off, all right? All those buzzwords. That is obviously very uncommon, but let's say for the purpose of this example, that's what's happening, all right? And let's say we've got nutrition and we've got recovery, okay? Let's say for, again, the purpose of this example, like we're just disregarding them, okay? The person who I'm talking about here, let's say client A, is not really paying attention to nutrition and recovery, okay? They're just like going as they please, all right? Like sometimes they're tracking their calories, they're watching what they're eating, this and that, and sometimes they're getting good sleep, sometimes they're not, do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. So let's say training is perfect, all right? And nutrition and recovery are almost like non-existent. If we look at it in terms of that 100% equation that I was talking about, like training, nutrition, recovery make up 33.3% of the equation in each of those three, so that obviously adds up to 99.999%, whatever it is, and then we have those other little 0 point something percent make up the other little bits. Let's say your training is absolutely spot on, no issues, and then recovery and nutrition are kind of off it. We're still only operating at 33.3% of our potential in terms of that example. We're only hitting 33.3%, okay? So you can quickly understand why, when someone is giving everything to training and they are absolutely killing it in the gym, like they're doing what needs to be done, like they're getting in there, getting after it, why they're not maybe seeing as much progress as they should be. Like they're still probably going to be seeing progress, don't get me wrong, especially if you're kind of new to the gym, or let's say you're getting into a new program, let's say you're someone who's gone from functional fitness, you're trying to get more into CrossFit and stuff. Of course you're going to see more progress like early on. But the reason why many people are not seeing as much progress as they think they should be seeing is purely down to the fact that they're not putting enough attention across to their nutrition and their recovery. And this is why when I get guys on board who are like experienced guys, like these are guys who have been in the gym for a long time, and they're coming and saying to me, listen, I don't know why, like at the start I was making good progress, I was seeing improvements in my lifts, my physique, everything was going well, and now I'm just not really seeing that anymore. And I quickly, like 9 times out of 10, I can quickly understand why that's happening, and it's typically down to the fact that said individual isn't paying attention to their nutrition or to their recovery. And it's a very easy fix for me, because it's a case of, right, well, what does it currently look like? What does your nutrition look like? What does your recovery what does your nutrition like? What does your recovery look like? Okay, and then I can quickly understand, right, this individual isn't doing this, and this, and then what tends to happen as a result of just focusing more on these things, like I'm not saying they're going to be perfect after week 1 or week 2, but gradually over time the individual gets better and better and better at sticking to certain things, like going to bed at a certain time, like their pre-bed ritual, pre-bed routine, like what they're eating, like how they're consuming certain foods, their food quality, their carbohydrate intake, all this kind of stuff. When we start focusing more on that, alongside our training, alongside our recovery as well, that's when we start to see those big changes coming through. That's when we start to see things going at the rate at which they expect them to go at. So it's no surprise that when I get guys on board who are, like I say, very experienced, and they've maybe not seen that much progress in recent years or months or whatever it may be, when they start to implement these things, like focusing more on their nutrition, like focusing more on their recovery, what starts to happen is like their progress just goes like that. All right, and like this is something that it's very difficult. That's why I wanted to do like a long form video, because it's very difficult to put this across in like a reel, and I don't like all that kind of reel shit and stuff. So it's great for me as a coach when I get someone on board like this, because I know exactly what to do. But at the same time, it's something that I sometimes get annoyed about, because I feel like a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on the training, and don't get me wrong, training is very, very important, especially in the sport of CrossFit, functional fitness, or even in really any goal. It's vitally important. But I feel sometimes people put, not that they put too much attention onto training, but I think they just almost have it on this pedestal, like that's all that matters. Especially when I was younger, I know that like we very rarely paid attention to nutrition and recovery. Like, yes, we were taught that protein's like the king and all that kind of stuff, as we know, but over recent years, like nutrition education, or education around nutrition, education around recovery has gotten a lot better. Even social media, for example, like people have gotten a lot better on there. Don't get me wrong, they can rip the arse out of it sometimes, but it's got a lot better on there. And what's happened as a result of that is when people do start to pay attention to their nutrition recovery, because maybe they've watched a video on Instagram, or maybe you've watched this video, and they start to really kind of hammer in on this, it's no surprise that they start to see this big change in terms of their physique or their performance. All right, and I know, like when I was younger, I used to just purely think it was training, because from my head, like the way I was thinking when I was younger, I was thinking, right, I'm going to the gym, I'm lifting weights, that's where I'm building muscle, that's where I'm improving performance, that's where everything is happening. Where as a matter of fact, it's not. It's only like what, an hour, 2 hours max out of your day, depending on how often you train. That's essentially where we're creating that stimulus to grow. But when those adaptations are taking place, or where we're able to maximize those adaptations, is going to be out with the gym. So your recovery, your nutrition, okay? And it's something that I know I bang on about it all the time, and I know a multitude of coaches do as well, but there's a reason for that, because it is so important that, like, nowadays what tends to happen is the things that kind of bang on social media or bang on Instagram is these things where people talk about, oh, are you doing this right? Then this is why. No, it's just the basics done well. That is what gets people to where they want to be. It's the basics done well. Half of the shit you see on Instagram just now where someone's talking about, you need to do this, you need to do that, that's not going to move you any closer to your goal. Like 9 times out of 10, if you see this shit, right, this one thing is gonna, no, it's not gonna do anything. If your nutrition, if your recovery is not where it needs to be, then you're gonna struggle to kind of get to where you want to be. And hopefully that example helps, because I know that when I first heard this, which was years ago now, it helped me, because I've not always been in the place where my nutrition and my recovery's been great. Like I always say to clients all the time on like welcome videos, or even if I'm doing check-ins with current clients and stuff, I'll talk about how like the biggest change in my performance and my physique that really kind of took me to that kind of next level, I guess you could say, was my ability to focus or realize, like, listen, my nutrition, my recovery hasn't been anywhere near where it needs to be. And as a result of focusing more on that, I've got to this point where, like, I am seeing progress, or a lot more progress than I would have done in the past. And I've been focusing on this for like the last, I want to say really like properly focusing on my nutrition recovery, probably the last 4 or 5 years. And that's, it's no surprise that when you line up like my progress as an athlete, my progress in terms of my performance, my physique, on like a timeline, that's where you'll see the biggest amount of progress was in that first 4 or 5 years, where I was really focusing on nutrition and recovery, and not just thinking, oh, what's the best training plan, what's this, what's that. Don't get me wrong, training has got to be, it has to be a good level, okay? You have to have that structure there, that focus on progressive overload, that continuation of certain movements and things, and there's our little bits and bobs, and that's an art in itself. But it's something that a lot of people really do put on a pedestal higher than I believe it should be. Not even higher than it should be, but just they place too much importance on it, as opposed to things like their nutrition and recovery, because nutrition and recovery isn't seen as like sexy. You're not getting that instant gratification, whereas with a workout, you know yourself, with a workout, you're getting that pump, you're dripping sweat, your body's absolutely rife with endorphins, whereas when you're having like a protein shake, you're hitting your calories, you're hitting your carbohydrate target, you're not getting that same endorphin rush, you know what I mean? So it's no surprise that it is the hardest thing. Plus as well, like your gym sessions, what, an hour, 2 hours max out your day, like I was saying earlier. What about the other 22, 23 hours of the day, do you know what I mean? So yeah, hopefully this helps, guys. I just wanted to do a little video like this. I know it's quite long, but I thought it'd give more value than me trying to fit out like a load of stuff in a reel. I'll probably still put a reel up and just put like snippets off this. But if anyone's got any questions on this topic, give us a shout, let me know. I'd be happy to help. Like, I was going to go into more detail with regards to each of the kind of subtopics in each of the sections, so like nutrition, recovery, etc. But I could be here all day talking about it. As anyone knows, when I do kind of welcome videos or check-ins and stuff, I do love to chat about this sort of thing. So hopefully this is giving you guys enough information. And yeah, any questions, give me a shout. But be sure to subscribe and like this video. And I'm planning to do more of this kind of stuff. Just really what I've been doing as of late is asking my clients, or asking a lot of the guys that I come into contact with or speak with, what they want to see or what they're struggling with, and I plan to make content based around that. So yeah, hopefully that helps, guys. Any questions, as I say, give us a shout, and I'll speak to you guys soon.